Arkansas may be the hottest basketball team in the country right now. I mean, they're 13-1 in their last 14 games, and they're sitting at 0-3, obviously unranked at the time, and now they're a game out of first place in the SEC. I mean, they're a game out. Think about that. And they've done a phenomenal job. Obviously, JD Notae is phenomenal, but I love Jalen Williams as well, and they've got a great cast of guys. And Bud Walton, it is extremely, extremely hard to win there. Phenomenal place to play. And I still think Auburn wins the SEC because of the way the schedule falls, but Arkansas is the hottest team in that league right now.
Nobody's playing better. I mean, you mentioned Notae, Rob. I mean, in a year where it feels like every time we hop on, we say, man, X team has questionable guard play. X team doesn't have the point guard. I don't know how you want to define as JD Notae a point guard is likes the point guard when he's on the floor as Devo. Like, I don't care. That dude balled the heck out with the ball in his hands yesterday. He hunted shots. He was great in the ball screen. He was really good in isolation. He made some really tough twos. I mean, big shots that kept the momentum on Arkansas side when Kentucky would make a push. And it felt like the energy was shifting because of how dominant Oscar was on the other end of the floor. I mean, JD Notae was spectacular and belongs in the conversation among the best guards in the country. I mean, I think of him as, again, I mean, if you're going through the list of great guards, you probably put Matherin on there. You probably put, a Wendell Moore type guy on there. But I think Notae is really, I mean, Johnny Davis, I think would be my number one guard in the country. Ivy right there as well. But the way that Notae has played this year, I mean, yesterday was the capper, but he's been fantastic and changes this thing for Arkansas. Because when you have, guys who can break you off the bounce like Notae and Devo and Likes, you have these switchable forwards and Tony and Umude. Williams is your most unselfish player up front, and he has great touch around the rim. I mean, that's a scary combo. Like no one is playing better basketball in the SEC right now than Arkansas. This is a team that, to me, they can go to a Final Four. Absolutely.
Yeah, for me, you got to just take the position away, take anything away. When I think about teams making runs in March, it's like guard plays. Word to Rob on this. Like, my favorite March memories are watching UConn's guards and point guards make plays in March and make extreme runs in March. Like, JD Notae is a guy who can explode for runs, as we've seen during this year, and that will translate to March for me. So the fact that they have that, and it seems like they have a team with defined roles as well, as Sweeney pointed out, you have a bunch of guys on this team that I think play their role to the best of their ability. They know that Notae is the guy who needs to get them the bucket when they need it. And they got guys who are playing their role defensively. Jalen Williams has been huge in the middle for them, as you said as well, Sweeney. So they're playing extremely well right now. And they're, oh, yes, hell yeah, I want some stats on that. Love stats
on Jalen Williams. So they lost. Arkansas had that stretch where they lost 6 out of 7 in like late December, early January. Since they've been hot, when they've run 13 of their last 14 games, Jalen Williams is averaging 14.5 points during that stretch. He was averaging just over 4 points. We call that the Carter Elliott special when they were struggling earlier on this season. Last
2
year,
strikes, Rob, relax.
Last year, the same kind of thing happened, right? Justin Smith got hurt. They lost 4 out of 5. He came back. They went on that tear. I think it was 16 of their last 19 games they won when Justin Smith was at the 5. When they get that kind of versatile, I don't want to say small ball because Jalen Williams is like 6'11" and 245 pounds. He ain't small, but he can step out on the perimeter,
but he can make
through
threes.
the basket. Yeah, that's what he did to Sheway. That's how he kind of was able to take advantage of him down the stretch. I think he had the last 10 points, last 12 points for Arkansas, something like that. He had a nice little stretch where he was.
He had a big jump hook late with about a minute to go. Put him up 4, I think, right there.
Yeah. So we talked a lot about point guard play there, guys. Does that mean? Let's go directly into Auburn here. They went on the road and they lost at Tennessee by 5. Wendell Green was a problem again, and not in a good way. He's shooting 27% from 3 in SEC play. When he's playing like that, Carter, can Auburn, where do you view them? Because I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, yeah, I don't know if they're going to be able to find a way to get it done if that's the dude that's running the show.
Yeah, for me, it's the fact that he doesn't really have another style of play. But so basically, he's going to play the same exact way, which as a basketball player, like I see that you want to play your game at all times. You don't want to be trying to do things that you're not used to doing. But also at the same time, some self-awareness has to come into play a little bit. Like you're not hitting shots, you're not making the right play. Maybe you should change things up for the betterment of the team. And also maybe that could help you, actually play a little better ball at the point guard position. So the fact of the matter is that's who Wendell Green is, and that's who he is for Auburn. Like you got to live with the greatness and you got to die with the low points. And right now it's not looking good.
He needs to read his own scouting report because he doesn't know his scouting report. He thinks his scouting report is I'm Damian Lillard, and no, like you're Wendell Green, right?
Right. It seems like every time he plays, it's like the defense is like, you can't shoot from there, and Wendell's like, yes, I can, and then he just misses. it's like you don't have to prove anything. Like they're like, go ahead, shoot it, Wendell. He's like, all right, I will.
That's the shot we want. That's the trick that you pull on everybody when you're at the park, right? Yeah, that's the shot we want.
Yeah.
Like hell,
he's with us.
Watch this air ball, right? Step back 28-footer air ball. That's a brick. Yeah, it's a concern. But how much of that, Steve? How much of that do you put on Tennessee? Like you got to give them some credit for that. They found a way to turn this thing around. It looked like the wheels were going to fall off there for Tennessee for a little while. But they figured it out. I mean, the top four in this conference is probably, I would say, the best top four in any league in college basketball this season. Is that crazy to say?
No, I like these four teams. And then you've kind of got that wild card team in Alabama, that's capable of beating anybody when they're right.
Where'd you go to school, Steve?
In Tuscaloosa. So, but I really like Tennessee from the time I saw them in late August, early September. I love their coach. I love what he stands for, what he's about, the things that he values in a basketball team. And I think you saw that. That's why they're 12-4 in the SEC. And they've done a phenomenal job of really making a run late as well, like you just touched on. And to be honest, the way the schedule, if you really mapped out these teams' schedules, if Auburn slips up, they probably have the best schedule possibly because they got a home game against Arkansas to really share the conference championship. Kentucky would have to get beat at Florida, but I really like Tennessee. I like their guard play. They've got the two smaller guards in Ziegler and Chandler, but they are tough up front. And they won this game, man. They dominated Auburn on the glass. They just physically dominated them on the glass. And and just that, but that's Rick Barnes, toughness, rebounding, and defense.
Yeah. Sweeney, wrap it up with Kentucky. Are you concerned about them at all? Or is this just, life on the road in the SEC, life in Bud Walton Arena?
I still think they're really a team, but I will say this. It seems like every game, it's a new excuse with Kentucky. When their guards don't play, it's, well, their guards didn't play. I guess the loss doesn't count. When they're healthy, they'll be good. Well, the guards played yesterday and they still lost, right? Like Sheboy gave them 30 and 20 and they still lost. I think Kentucky is an elite basketball team. I think they're in, top 5 to 10 team in the country. They have a real chance to go to a Final Four, win a national championship. But I think that at some point they have to win the big one. And they've had two big road opportunities against Tennessee and now against Arkansas, and they haven't gotten it done in either game. So look, I don't know what percentage Shavir Whaler and Ty Washington were yesterday, but they had those guys out there that played normal minutes and they couldn't quite get over the hump. So I do want to see Kentucky get that elite win before we put them in that true they're the best team in the country conversation.
Yeah, I do think there's something to be said about the fact that you mentioned it earlier. The way to slow down Purdue is to slow down Sasha Stefanovic, right? Well, maybe the way to slow down Kentucky is to run Kellen Grady off of the 3-point line. I think he took 3 shots the other night. They were face guarding him. They didn't let him get it going. They played off of Shavir Wheeler. They played off of Keon Brooks. And to me, that was just kind of what it was. Like you take away the space for everybody else. You don't like Kellen Grady get shots going, and you just kind of say, hey, look, if we're going to get beat by Oscar Tshiebwe 2s in offensive rebounds, we're going to get beat by Oscar Tshiebwe 2s in offensive rebounds. All right, I'm going to put each of you guys on the spot before we head to our next break here. Steve, who is the most likely team out of the SEC to get to a Final Four? One word answer.
Auburn.
Sweeney.
Arkansas.
Ooh. Carter.
Kentucky.
Yeah, I'm landing on Kentucky with that one too. I'm going to stick with Kentucky. I'm going to say they still have a ceiling.